Welcome back to The Curious Route, where we explore the fascinating and mysterious corners of the human experience. Today, we're diving into something that might sound like science fiction, but it's absolutely real. We're talking about psychological disorders so rare and so unusual that most people have never heard of them. But here's the thing. These conditions affect real people every single day, and understanding them helps us appreciate just how complex and mysterious the human mind truly is. So if you're ready to have your perspective completely shifted, stick around, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about the human brain. Let's start with something that sounds impossible. Imagine waking up one day and genuinely believing that you're dead. Not metaphorically dead inside, not depressed, but literally convinced that you are a walking corpse. This is called Cotard's syndrome, also known as walking corpse syndrome, and yes, it's a real condition. People suffering from this rare disorder believe they are dead, don't exist, or have lost their internal organs or blood. Some patients refuse to eat because they think they don't need food anymore since they're already deceased. Others become convinced they're in a state of decay or that they're immortal and cannot die. The condition was first described by French neurologist Jules Cotard in the 1880s, and while it's extremely rare, it's often associated with severe depression, psychotic disorders, or brain injuries. What's fascinating is that brain scans of people with Cotard's syndrome show unusual activity in areas responsible for recognizing faces and processing emotions, which might explain why they feel so disconnected from their own existence. Now, if that wasn't strange enough, let's talk about a condition where people become convinced that someone close to them has been replaced by an identical impostor. This is called Capgras syndrome, and it's one of the most unsettling psychological disorders you can imagine. Picture this. You come home and your spouse is there looking exactly like they always do, sounding like them, acting like them. But deep in your core, you're absolutely convinced that this person is a fake, a duplicate, an imposter who has taken their place. That's what people with Capgras syndrome experience. They can recognize the physical appearance of their loved ones, but they don't feel the emotional connection that should come with that recognition. This disconnect between visual recognition and emotional response creates an overwhelming sense that something is terribly wrong, leading to the delusional belief that the person has been replaced. The condition is often linked to brain injuries, dementia, or schizophrenia, and it can be incredibly distressing for both the person experiencing it and their family members who suddenly find themselves accused of being imposters. But wait, it gets even stranger. Have you ever heard of someone who believes that different people are actually the same person in disguise? That's called Fragoli syndrome, and it's like the opposite of Capgras. People with this condition become convinced that various people they encounter are actually a single person who is following them around and changing their appearance. They might think the cashier at the grocery store, their neighbor, and a random person on the street are all the same individual wearing different disguises to persecute or monitor them. This creates an intense sense of paranoia and can make normal daily interactions absolutely terrifying. The disorder is named after an Italian actor, Leopoldo Fragoli, who was famous for his ability to rapidly change characters and appearances during performances. Like Capgras, Fragoli syndrome is often associated with schizophrenia or other psychotic disorders, but it can also emerge after brain injuries or as a side effect of certain medications. Now let's shift gears to something that affects how people perceive their own bodies. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger staring back at you. You know intellectually that it's you, but you don't recognize yourself. This is called depersonalization disorder, and it's more common than you might think, though severe cases are quite rare. People with this condition feel detached from their own body, thoughts, and sense of self. They describe feeling like they're watching themselves from outside their body, like they're living in a dream or a movie. Everything feels unreal, foggy, and distant. Some describe it as feeling like a robot going through the motions of life without actually experiencing it. The world around them might also feel fake or distorted, a related symptom called derealization. What makes this particularly distressing is that people with depersonalization disorder are fully aware that their perceptions are distorted, which creates a strange double awareness that can be deeply disturbing. Here's one that sounds like something from a horror movie. Some people genuinely believe that a limb or part of their body doesn't belong to them. This is called body integrity identity disorder, or BIID. People with this condition have an overwhelming desire to amputate a healthy limb because they feel it's not supposed to be part of their body. They don't have any delusions about the limb being diseased or injured. They simply feel a profound mismatch between their mental image of their body and their physical reality. Some people with BIID go to extreme lengths to achieve amputation, sometimes even attempting to injure the limb themselves. Research suggests that BIID might be related to how the brain maps the body, with certain areas not being properly represented in the brain's body image system. This is a controversial and poorly understood condition that raises complex ethical questions about body autonomy and medical intervention. Let's talk about something that affects how people perceive time. Most of us have experienced time seeming to slow down during a frightening moment or speed up when we're having fun. But imagine if your perception of time was constantly distorted. Some people with certain neurological conditions experience time in radically different ways. There's a rare condition associated with temporal lobe epilepsy where people experience time loops, feeling like they're reliving the same moments over and over again. Others might experience time moving at different speeds for different senses, where sound might seem to be delayed compared to vision, creating a bizarre desynchronization of reality. These temporal distortions can be deeply disorienting and make it difficult to function in everyday life. Now here's something truly bizarre. Some people experience a condition where they believe they're transforming into an animal. This is called clinical lycanthropy, and yes, it's named after the werewolf legends. People experiencing this disorder genuinely believe they're turning into or have turned into an animal, most commonly a wolf. But cases have been reported involving dogs, cats, birds, and other creatures. They might growl, walk on all fours, or claim to have grown fur or claws. This is different from people who identify as animals spiritually or metaphorically. These individuals have a genuine delusional belief that they are physically transforming. Clinical lycanthropy is typically associated with severe psychiatric conditions like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or psychotic depression. Throughout history, these cases were often attributed to demonic possession or curses, but we now understand them as manifestations of severe mental illness. Let's explore one more that's particularly fascinating. Some people experience a condition called Alice in Wonderland syndrome, named after Lewis Carroll's famous story. People with this syndrome experience distortions in their perception of size, distance, and proportion. They might feel like their body is growing or shrinking, or that objects around them are changing size. A room might suddenly seem enormous, or their hands might appear gigantic. Time might seem to speed up or slow down dramatically. These episodes can last from a few seconds to several weeks. Interestingly, it's most common in children and is often associated with migraines, infections, or certain drugs. Some researchers believe Lewis Carroll himself might have experienced this syndrome, which could have inspired his surreal stories. What's remarkable about all these conditions is that they remind us just how much our experience of reality depends on the proper functioning of our brain. Our sense of self, our recognition of others, our perception of our body, our experience of time. All of these things we take for granted are actually incredibly complex processes that can break down in specific and sometimes bizarre ways. These rare disorders are like windows into the hidden machinery of consciousness, showing us what happens when particular circuits malfunction. The good news is that many of these conditions can be treated or managed with proper medical care. Medications, therapy, and treatment of underlying conditions can help many people find relief. But perhaps the most important thing we can do is approach these disorders with empathy and understanding rather than fear or mockery. The people experiencing these conditions aren't making them up. They're not attention-seeking. They're dealing with genuine neurological and psychiatric challenges that profoundly affect their daily lives. So, what did you think about these unusual psychological disorders? Did any of them particularly surprise you? Have you heard of any other rare psychological conditions that deserve more attention? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you found this video fascinating, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey down the curious route. We explore the strange, the mysterious, and the absolutely mind-bending aspects of our world every single week. Thanks for watching, and remember, reality is far stranger than we usually give it credit for. I'll see you in the next video.